Hello, everyone. Welcome to my poetry sampler. My name is David Graham, and I am going to be reading from a small sampling of poems from my new book, The Honey of Earth. Here it is, published by Terrapin Books. The title, The Honey of Earth, comes from Wallace Stevens. He has a wonderful passage that goes, "The honey of heaven may or may not come, but that of earth both comes and goes at once." And most of the poems in this collection circle in some way or another around that tension. Stylistically, I think about something Robert Frost often said, which was that it was aim in writing poems was to see if he could make them sound different from each other. I don't know how successful I was, but that was my aim. First poem in the book is called The Dogs in Dutch Paintings. How shall I not adore them, snoozing right through the Annunciation? They inhabit the outskirts of every importance, sprawl dead center in each oblivious household. They're digging at fleas or snapping at scraps, dozing with noble abandon while a boy bells their tails. Often they present their rumps in the foreground of some martyrdom. What Christ could lean so unconcernedly against a table leg, the feast above continuing? Could the Virgin in her joy match this grace as a hound sagely ponders an upturned turtle? No scholar at his huge book will capture my eye so well as the skinny haunches, the frazzled tails, and serene optimism of the least of these mutts, curled in the corners of the world's dazzlement. I'd like to read a two-part poem next. This is an elegy for my mother, and what happened was she went through a rather long decline with dementia, and one of the ways I dealt with that was to write about it, of course. And so it's an elegy, although it was written before she died. And as I say, it's in two parts. Part one is an attempt to simply paint a portrait of her character, and part two describes the onset of her dementia. The title is Vinegar and Fizz. Part one. My mother could not be trusted to tell it straight. She adored welshing on a bet, spinning tales, splashing in hyperbole's lake, relished a circus, the bellow and roar, musk and glitter, bananas vanishing down clown pants and cheap yellow air. First in line for the freak show, dazzled by carny patter, never met a dog or horse she didn't like. Children, maybe yes, maybe no. She spoke other languages if possible, applied pressure to a bleeding wound, plunked floundering toddlers out of the deep end, getting her good house dress soaked. You wanted her around in an emergency, but what an unreliable witness. She couldn't tell it straight. She told it slant, but never all. When have facts ever been the point of any tale? Don't bet against her, friend. Did her many balloons wobble brightly to the ceiling? Yes. Did she place a single peanut on my pudgy palm for the elephant to lift with its trunk? Of course. A touch still zapping me 60 years later. My mother would never turn away from any elephant, juggler, parade, or barker beating his drum of gorgeous lies. Part two. The doctor settles opposite her in the straight chair, looking kindly and earnest, and I can tell what's coming. He asks her name, and of course she snorts, "You know that." Yes, he does. But then he inquires if she can say what season. She looks around the ward craftily, decorated tree, tinsel, cartoon snowflakes stuck to the windows. It's almost Christmas. What are you getting me? Next he wonders if she knows the year. She glares into his face, allows a sullen pause. Then, 1937, she says. And so it is. She's going on 16, a girl ready to burn and roam. Nobody's fool, a spitfire, all vinegar and fizz. The war is but a vague mist on the horizon. This year has a gleaming, sun-scoured sound. 1937. The train is about to leave the station for the one and only time. She'll be damned if she won't be on it and ride far from home. This poem is one that relates an experience I had many years ago, decades ago, and over the course of the years, I wrote about it a number of times, but never successfully. And finally, I got the idea to try it in persona. So this is in the voice of the deranged old woman at the laundromat. And the title is What the Deranged Old Woman at the Laundromat Said When I Wasn't Listening. You don't know me. Not one little bit, with your big eyes like river stones pulled up to dull in the sunlight. I've seen lots of men like you, fly casting into the dirt of your driveways, then hang limp like a flag with no wind. I'll bet there are dollar bills in your wallet haven't seen daylight for years. I can smell it from here. If I were to cut into your pasty skin with this purse knife, I know only dust would come out, maybe some old gray pillow feathers. Offer to drive me home. It's obvious you're thinking about it. How I would look climbing up the wooden steps ahead. How I just stare at a dog once and he turns and runs. How it didn't take a jukebox or a paycheck, either one, to get me here. You think you know me? I've been simmering since before you were born. Won't take long till I boil. That was just a small sampling of poems from my book, The Honey of Earth, from Terrapin Books. My name is David Graham, and this book is available at all the usual places. You can find it at the Terrapin Books website, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Bookshop, or, of course, your local independent bookseller. Thanks for listening.